What is it right now that allows you to feel so comfortable about your current financial situation?
I know that we're putting money away every month. Like I know that we're not living paycheck to paycheck. And so that makes me really comfortable.
It sounds like from a marital standpoint, you have a lot of confidence because Derek's here, right? Like Derek's here and he's able to kind of like shepherd and shield that financial burden from you. Would it be too presumptuous for me to say that, hey, if something happened to Derek, that creates a financial problem, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something that exists there
Yes.
that now all of a sudden, okay, you had all this comfort and all the security. What happens in that event, right? And maybe that's one of the things that we ought to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it seems as an objective third party, that seems like maybe one of the risks that exists for you guys.
Yeah.
So long as he's here rocking and rolling, things are great. Family unit is nice and it's working. But if there was something that happened there, then it probably does become a little more problematic. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure.
I did notice in our notes when we were prepping for today's recording, y'all don't have a will yet. What's the apprehension? Why hasn't that happened? Because it's not like this is the first child.
Talk about.
I know it is, but what makes it scary? What makes it scary for you guys?
I don't want to think about dying and leaving them.
Yeah,
that's scary.
But it's so much easier to have it in your 20s though for that discussion. Yeah, in 30s. I mean, versus you get my age and you're like, holy cow, we might be already over the halfway point.
Do you guys? You hop in a car, get hit by a car.
Oh my
gosh,
gosh.
that's the end of it.
No.
Let me ask you a question. Have you guys had the conversation around who's going to take care of our kids?
Yeah. We have a little bit.
Have we?
Yeah. We just recently did. Well, my parents would definitely be right. And it gets tricky too with like age and stuff. I'm the oldest, so my parents are younger. His parents are a little bit older, plus they live out of state. It makes definitely the most sense for my parents to take the kids. They live 30 minutes down the street from us. They're younger. But then obviously that'll change as they get older, you know?
Yeah, I think having the conversation, once we get past the fear and the anxiety of, I don't want to think about that.
Right.
I think we'd be on the same page and it would be a very easy conversation.
But I think what's interesting is you guys, just even right there in that interaction that you had, you said, oh, yeah, it's clear. And he goes, who?
Yeah.
Right? So
but I'm surprised.
Just wanted to make sure.
As difficult as it is for even you guys to have that conversation and for you guys to even make sure that you're on the same page, you have to imagine for a moment how much more difficult would that be if something happened, you guys. And then not only do your parents become part of the conversation, but then so too do your parents.
And the
so do
state.
your siblings. And then the state has something to say about it. As hard as that decision is to have while you guys are still on this earth, it becomes exponentially more difficult to have if you're not here to speak on behalf of what your wishes are. Because then you leave the family guessing, well, I think my parents are going to be, well, my parents are older. And then your sibling says, well, no, it should be us because the cousin. And from a risk management standpoint, I got to believe above the finances and financial independence and above everything else in your life going on, your kids are probably your top priority. So when you think
obviously, we heard it on the list.
Yeah.
It really was.
like when you think about the thing that you want to protect and the thing you want to make sure is covered, it's probably that. And while you guys are here, you feel confident we can provide and take care of our kids. But part of the responsibility we have as parents is, if we're not here, who's going to be that person? And is the same person who's going to take care of the kids also going to be the person who's going to take care of the money to make sure that the kids are taken care of and provide? Those are really, really hard conversations to have. But dare I say, for young parents who are square in the messy middle, which is exactly where you guys are, they're probably the most important conversations to have, even more so than like savings rate and investment structure. And like those are the ones that matter because those are the most unknown unknowns. You hope that it never happens and it's never something you have to deal with and it's a non-issue. But if ever were an issue, you'd want to make sure you solve that. And realistically, it's a difficult conversation, but an easy problem to solve. You sit down and you meet with an estate attorney or you guys work together to figure out, okay, this is who we want to take care of the kids and this is how we want the money and this is what we want. This is our vision for their life. I think in terms of like prioritizing stuff that you want to walk away from here with, that's a big one. Do we have wills and estate documents in place to explain what our wishes are?
And look, the reality is you guys are so far away from this actually being the real concern. It's more of just a risk mitigation.
That's right.
It's more of a thought exercise at this age. But I'll tell you, doing it early and kind of the peace of mind that comes from that. And then also you're going to one day you'll wake up and you'll be my age and you are at that point where you'll still know this exercise was valuable because there's a plan that's already got the intention. It lets your emotions, let your desires be recorded versus your loved ones. Because I think y'all would struggle with the abundance of too many loved ones, too many cooks in the kitchen, trying to figure out how they love on this situation, and it creates chaos.